Hello and welcome to another episode of Raise the Bar, the Sky High and Fly Jump Lab podcast. I'm your host, Troy Haynes, and I am going to be talking today with Marcus Gelpi, who is, I want to call a longtime friend of the podcast. Marcus started jumping here in California, saw some of his earliest posts when he was still in high school, followed him through junior college, and just last season, he made the jump to Division One at Kansas State. And so I'm going to catch up with Marcus and see how he's doing. Also celebrating today, the kind of rooting for, I should say, more than celebrating, my Bruins going against Penn State. It's coming later today. And I can't wear two shirts at the same time, or I'd be wearing my 49ers gear because my Niners are playing the Cardinals tomorrow. So, but we're going to be in the world of track and field and not my more favorite world of football. And my way favorite world of the 49ers. What's up with the 49ers and Brock Purdy? But right now, just trying to get through another week of injuries. So since we haven't done a podcast here in a while, there's been a lot of stuff that has gone on in the world of the high jump, especially track and field. You may have remembered a small event this summer called the Olympics, where we saw some amazing performances. And with all that, the eyes of the world turn once every 4 years, really, I believe, for track and field, to track and field on a major level, where people are watching pretty much every day, whatever product was being put out on the track, 100-meter sprints, the hurdles, the decathlon, high jump, long jump, triple jump, all the big events, shot put, disc, javelin, Duplantis in the pole vault, a lot of, world champions doing what they do. And, such an exciting time. And also now we're looking forward to the Olympics here in the US in 4 years, back here in Los Angeles, which is just major. So it's an exciting time. Want to talk to Marcus a little bit about the state of the high jump union as it was, or the track and field union here. So often I've been critical of, the place that track and field has in our world here. And, from the Olympics being huge at the start and huger now commercially and everything. I remember when I was a kid watching my first Olympics in 1972 at 8 years old, and, watching the growth. But at the same time, some sports events, esports, some sports have waxed and waned over that time. Basketball started off with the dream team, has gotten way bigger. Track and field used to be a lot bigger, I believe, and has gotten smaller. I, for one, didn't watch a minute of boxing this time around, and I haven't for a while now. But, back when I was a kid, 72, I remember, but 76, I watched the Olympics with Sugar Ray Leonard, some of my favorites. Here he is. I see Marcus.
How are you?
I am good, Marcus. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Couldn't be better.
Could be better. Awesome. I see a Grand Valley State jersey. I love it.
Oh, the shirt? Yeah.
So you gotta fill us in on the story. So Marcus is a longtime friend of the podcast, and he's been following me. I've been following him since the very beginning. I remember watching you send me some of your jumps in high school, right? 6'6".
Yeah.
From high school, you went to junior college in Santa Rosa. Isn't that right?
I went to junior college in Concord, California. So Diablo Valley College, yeah. But right around the way. Yeah.
Mhm. And then from there, where did we go? Because I'm losing track of all your journeys.
Yeah, I've had quite a few. No, from there we went to Kansas State.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then this last year was your first year at Kansas State, wasn't that right?
It was my second. I had my first season there, and then last year was my second season.
Okay, so fill us in, man. How did it all go?
my last season at Kansas State, it was great. I jumped a new personal best. I got 218, and then I also jumped 217 at the conference meet. So, I was pretty consistent around those marks, feeling really happy with the progression of everything that was going. So I did have a really successful year last year.
Okay. Now, that was enough to get you to regionals for sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So how did that all go? I remember going to NC2A just my one time my senior year, and a definitely higher level experience. How'd you like that?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I didn't make it in. I kind of struggled a little bit, but I mean the height that year or this last year was extremely hard on the West to make it in regardless. I think there was a few people or one or a few people who jumped 217 and still didn't make it in, which was, it's pretty competitive compared to like the last 5 or so
Mhm.
years.
Okay. So yeah, I remember for a while there, it seemed like 6'11" would get in, 211 used to get in to the
Yeah.
regionals. So um it's the top 16 out in the West. Is that how it works? Top 16,
Yeah. Or
regardless
top
of
12,
mark,
yeah.
right?
Top 12 going to nationals, yeah.
Okay, top 12. So, and that turned out to be two, what, 7-1, 7-1 and a half
Yeah,
ish.
7-1 and a half, yeah. So
Hmm.
215.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is more competitive than usual. So,
Mhm.
and then what place did you get at your conference meet with those jumps? You said you jumped well,
Yeah, I got third at my conference meet for the Big 12. I was really excited about that. I barely missed my 220 as usual, but
right?
I was really excited about my top three placement at Big 12s.
Yeah, talking about least favorite heights of all time, I think 220 is right there for me. For some reason, it was like,
Yeah.
um, 210 in high school, 215. First time I jumped 7 feet in college was at 215. Then I remember making, a couple of little ones in between there. They didn't even used to tell us what the metric was. I don't know if they didn't think we were intelligent enough, or they would just tell us it was 7 feet. It was 6'10, it was 7 feet. Nobody was doing the 3/4 inch thing. I remember in high school, my senior year, like they set the bar at CIF finals, it's 6'8", 6'10". They go, yeah, it's at 6'10". And there is no metric for that, right? So I think in 82, they were still just measuring stuff that way. I think maybe they hadn't made the transfer yet, but the only reason I know I jumped 210 in high school is I asked them to measure the bar. When I jumped
Yeah.
6'10 at CI finals, when I made it, I go, can you measure it, please? And they go, oh, it's 6'10 3/4". I'm like, thank you. That's a new school record because our old school record was 6'10.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's great. I didn't know I was jumping that, but it wasn't being done metrically, I don't think. So I think in college, I remember they never used to tell us. Maybe they did 6'6 3/4". I remember 6'6 3/4, 6'8 3/4. So it must have been starting to do the metric, but up around 7 feet, it would get kind of fuzzy. Like they never would really tell us, the little guys in the hats. I always tell people about the officials because they're a trip. But
Yeah.
like one year they moved the bar from us at 6'10 to 7'2", and only one guy made it. It was Maurice Crumby, from three-time state champion from up north. He was jumping at Arizona. So we're jumping against Arizona dual meet. And there's like six guys in, and we all make 6'10", including Crumby. And then they go to 7'2" without telling us. They skipped the height, and
Mm.
everybody missed except Crumby. He jumped 7'4" in high school. So yeah, everybody just bombed out, and I couldn't figure out why I was missing because I made 6'10" easily. And I was like, what the heck is up with this? And I was like, oh, a guy comes back and he goes, yeah, we're raising the bar to 7'2". And then he goes, oh, wait, sorry, that was 7'2". And we started complaining. They're like, well, the bar's already got to come up. It can't come back down. Like, man, you guys are a trip. Like,
Right. Yeah.
they were all pretty old. So we cut them
Yeah.
a bit. But
It's
I mean,
unfortunate.
Crumby probably would have beat us anyway, but it was it was weird. All right. So why did I get off on that tangent? Oh, 220. I think I told on this podcast before. I think I jumped like 20 times at 220 in my career, and I think I've made it twice. Just not a
Yeah.
good height. Not a good height.
Uh,
220, what? Yeah, 221. What's two? Trying to think. I jumped what's 2 1/4? Is that 219?
7'2 1/4 is 219. Yeah.
219. So the very first time I ever jumped at 219, I made it. After all
Really?
those times of not being able to make 220, I made
Yeah.
219. The day that I jumped 222, I went 219, missed once at 222, then I made 222 that day. Then
Hmm.
a couple weeks later, I jumped 220 at the Coliseum. We were jumping against SC, which was fun. My wife and I were talking about that today. I go, the trials are coming here, and so they should be. I don't know if the trials have come to the Coliseum or not. They did in '84. but I would suspect they might try to do it there again, even with the hookup in Oregon, you know.
Right.
But I'm like, yeah, they got to hold the games down. I mean, I don't know. Would they try to hold them at Mount Sac or Oregon instead of the Coliseum? The Coliseum's just got all that history, you know.
Yeah. It would
I'm
be
surprised,
really cool to be at the Coliseum. I can't lie.
right?
It'd
Have
be
you ever had
crazy.
a chance to jump there?
Never in my life. The only place I've ever jumped in LA was Mount Sac, I believe.
Okay. So tell us, there's enough about me. God, nobody wants to hear about me. They want to hear about you, Marcus. What after this year and everything, you 2 years now at Kansas State.
Mhm.
What's going on? Are you done? Are you moving on? How many years of eligibility do you have when you came in?
So I'm now that I'm at Grand Valley, they allowed me to redshirt for this outdoor season.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna be competing indoor with Grand Valley, and then I'm gonna redshirt my outdoor season and train and really learn the process and get everything down because I feel like kind of rushing into things didn't really help me the most my first year at Kansas State, and I kind of struggled a lot rushing into
Uh-huh.
things, playing catch
Yeah.
up. Being able to meet with the coach and him meet me halfway on a red shirt because he seems really excited about me being here, and I'm really excited to be here as well. And just building that relationship through there, then I'll have a full indoor and outdoor the following year. So
Okay, so yeah, I'm a couple jumps behind as usual. So if you're at Grand Valley State, now that brings up at least, am I right, three other names? Are there three other jumpers there with you that all went to the trials?
yeah, three of the other jumpers that were here last year went to trials. We have me, and then we also have two freshmen that jumped 6'10" that are here this year. So we got six of us now.
Now, so and those guys are still there, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so how did that happen? Tell me that story because I had the other guys on a podcast and then it got something happened. I missed recording it halfway through, and
Mhm.
then we ended up not producing it or something. And then it was like, well, let's do it again, but we'll get the coach involved possibly. And then he didn't really want to do it with everybody. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but man, well, I would love to get one with all of you guys in the room at the same time, including your coach. Just have a big old
Oh,
round.
we'll definitely make that happen. I can call the coach right after this. He's super understanding dude. He would love to do
Yeah,
that.
that would be awesome because, like I said, we had I had I forget, we had two of the guys in there, and I think I was talking to the one, and then the other guy happened to be there. He's like, "Come on over here." So we had a little, round table going, and then I believe I even had videos from them. Oh, that brings. Did you send yours?
Yes, on Instagram I sent some
Okay,
videos.
cool. I'm gonna do this while so Grand Valley State. So tell us how that got going. How did they get in touch with you? Did you pursue him? Did he pursue you? How did it go?
Yeah, so after last season at Kansas State, my coach ended up retiring, and I really loved the atmosphere and everything there, and I had an amazing time. But the timeline kind of wasn't really adding up because it came down for like the last day to be in the portal. We still didn't know who our coach was. So
Right.
I knew it was a risk entering the portal late, but I was like, I'm it's time for something new. So I entered the portal late, and I'm super happy I did because the first coach who I talked to was Coach Steve over here at Grand Valley State, and I was super excited about that because I've seen all the success he's had with his guys and how they progress from like every single. It's really rare that every single year you see college kids jumping a new PR and by big
Right.
marks. Like last year they had a kid go from 218 to 226 in 1 year, and that's
Right.
super impressive. And
Yeah.
I've known guys a lot of time, talked to them on Instagram, and they put me in contact with the coach, and we started talking, and he set up a visit. He seemed really interested. Set up a visit within a week or a week and a half of me contacting him, and I came out here to Michigan, and it was the best visit I've ever taken.
Yeah. Wow. That's and talk about some training partners. That's
Right.
amazing. Having everybody had to jump. What was the qualifying height for the trials last year? So 222 or was it
I think so. Yeah, it might have been 222 or 223 or something. I think 223.
223? So yeah, it's three and a half, three and three quarters. I think I remember three and three quarters. Yeah, you're right. So 223 to get in. So you got three guys jumping that high, and then adding you to the mix. Your personal best is 218 now.
Yeah,
So
218.
hopefully you step right in those shoes of going from 218 to 226, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. That's the schedule that we're on here. We're aiming for that.
Awesome, awesome. So now that you've been there at least a little bit of the fall, how are things going? Like, is it what's different? What are you picking up that's new already in
I'm
training?
Yeah, no, I could definitely answer that. There's a lot that's different, but I would say the main thing for me that's different is just the atmosphere. Everybody here, they're just happy. And that's a huge thing. And it sounds kind of cliche, but like especially in an event like high jump, being strong mentally and just being able to go out there and enjoy it while you're doing it and not over pressure yourself or over stress out. Like
Right,
I'm never in my life have I been arguably like the lowest PR jumper on my team. So
right,
coming here, knowing I'm gonna have to, or my mindset originally was like I'm gonna have to work my way up and battle and all that, but it's not even really a battle. It's such a welcoming thing. Everybody giving their tips and advice, and it's a great environment here to coach. Within my I've been here for maybe a few days over a month now, and I feel like I've gained all my confidence back. I'm just ready to go out there and compete this season. It's gonna be a really fun year. So
awesome. So
definitely the mental side, yeah.
what have you guys been doing now? You doing a lot of just base running and lifting, doing some simple plyos. Like where do you guys where are you starting?
Yeah, so we have been doing some base running, some lifting, some plyos, kind of mixing it all in, but we started jumping here off of 4 steps, which at first it kind of caught me by surprise because I
Seems
from my
early, yeah.
yeah, from my last school we didn't jump until like really late November and we would do like 6 steps and I was like we really jumped really late there, but you know, I've I can't complain. The guys, they're healthy. They jump high. They're consistent. So who am I to judge the program that's and
Right.
a month in, it's been working for me perfectly. I've only missed 3 bars my entire time here at practice. So I've
Yeah.
been in it and we jump every week.
That's amazing. I'm thinking back in the history of, high jump. Has there ever been a coach that had, three guys at a D2 school, go to the trials? I mean, that's just,
I have
you
no
know,
clue. I highly doubt it, to be
I
honest.
doubt it. Even
Yeah,
a big
what
school,
Steve
right?
has going on here is truly amazing. He and every single one of these kids, you can ask them, and they'll sit there and praise the coach, which you don't hear about a lot. A lot of people take the
Yeah.
credit for themselves, but no, Coach Steve really puts his foot forward and works with you.
Yeah, well, that's I remember breaking down video and there was sometimes when I'm looking at video with people, I can tell they're looking at it from a whole new perspective when I'm showing them stuff because they're just like, I've never even seen that or heard anything like that.
Right.
And when we were going through it, they were all very matter of fact about, oh yeah, lean back angles and knee drive across and all the stuff that I preach and teach, it already sounds like it was well grounded.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, these guys were doing, amazing things. And I was bummed for them that they didn't jump better at the trials, but it's a long season. You're talking
Right.
about a long college season that, and sometimes you get through the mill and you come out on top, a la Javon Harrison, back in 2021, but not always, And then this year he wasn't even in college anymore and he wasn't even doing the long jump.
Right.
He couldn't get through it, So there's a real art form to getting you, into your peak shape, both physically so you can jump and then, technique wise so that you can jump, you know.
Right.
Um, but it's interesting to hear you talk about that because I was thinking, I get a lot of kids, come to train and, if I can get them, I start jumping in the fall. Yeah. I got on my mind, with somebody who comes to me, first of all, is I don't know how long I'm going to have them.
That's
So
good.
I can't play long game with, high school kids where their parents are paying, right? So it's like, okay, well, you're here now, so you're gonna get an earful, and these are the
Right.
things we gotta do. And right away, it seems like these last 3 years, Marcus, I've had the kids come at me in different waves. When I had Jack Weissman jump for me back in 2019, make it all the state.
I remember that.
That whole year, all I did was try to get him farther away from the bar. It was like, get Jack farther away from the bar. And I mean, he battled me every step of the way on it, because it was just, it wasn't that he wasn't trying to do it. It was just like he had learned, through so many years that that was what he did. And it was just like, wow, we came up with different drills and on and on. So I went through that. And then, so the next time I got somebody too close to the bar, I thought, oh, this will be easy. Now I got a playbook because
Right.
Jack helped me develop a playbook on how to fix that. Of course, high jumpers are all different, so it doesn't always work that way.
Right.
And one thing I learned about people that are too close to the bar is they do tend to drive their knee across better because if they don't, they're going to eat the bar.
The whole,
There's no way to
yeah.
do it from that close. So I'm like, maybe crowding them too close to the bar would be good just for a day or two,
Hmm.
just to get that knee going across and then move them back out. So I started learning about that. And then I went through the crush of guys that were in the middle of their takeoff or throwing their heads back as hard as they can.
Oh yeah.
Guys from Seth Johnson, who jumped, for me is now at Cal, jumped with me. I shouldn't say for me. His dad, he was at Cajon High School. He ended up winning state one year, and now he's a decathlete. I mean, he was a pretzel, like perfect, unbelievable layout, like Malachi Carrasco.
Yeah.
First time I worked with Malachi, he's in his layout in the middle of his takeoff, and the layout's beautiful, and I'm like, dude, that's a great position, but you got to wait a little, like get up into the air first, So I went through that and it seemed like 2 or 3 years of that. And then I'm still getting some of that because I think too many kids, when they're coming up, if they do pick anything out when they're watching video, or they do have a parent or a well-meaning coach or something that doesn't really know the event, is like, hey, you need to, crank that head back there. And you're like, okay, I mean, yeah, you're right, but not when you're having them do it.
Right. Yeah,
Try to teach
exactly.
them to wait, a little bit. So, what's the vision for you and your jumping? Is what's the plan? Do you guys like have a technique that you want to improve on, or any style changes that you're going through?
Well, it's kind of interesting with Coach Steve here. He works kind of each athlete at their own pace. So some people will move, like say we all started jumping 4 steps a few weeks ago. Some people will be ready for 6 steps sooner than others. So
Mhm.
you iron out more details with each person at different timing, which makes it really stressful as a coach to teach everybody different things at different times when you're
Right.
practicing at the same times and a lot of stuff. But he's just really big on making the athlete feel comfortably uncomfortable. Like you want to learn new things, but you don't want to be stuck in old ways. And
Right.
new things for me could be different than new things for the other 3 guys that were here or the 2 new freshmen that are coming in. So
Right.
like specifically sitting down and breaking through technique, we have meetings every other week and we go over film. We talk about ways to adjust practices to feel better and more comfortable going over it. So we don't really, for me personally, we don't have specific technique and stuff we need to work on it immediately that we've been seeing at my practices. Like my layout's already looking a lot better than it has when at my last school and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, I wouldn't really say I have a specific technique right now, but who knows, a week from now or 3 months down the line, there could be something we got to work at, and I'm open to
Right.
learning.
All right. Well, let's segue from that right into some of these jumps here. I just stuck them on the screen here. We're going to pull up one and
Let's
move. Oh, they all popped up. Okay. Let's do this one. Okay. And there you are in purple. Is this going to get any bigger for me? Come on. Let me move it in the middle. See if it'll get bigger. No. Okay. So that is about as big as we get. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let me move this out of the way. Okay. And there you are. Classic American double arm pump. I love it.
Yeah.
So from a stand too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I counting that?
It will be 5.
Five and
There's a little
five.
bit of a lag in the video, but yeah, it's 10 steps.
10 steps. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, because almost everybody runs a 5-step curve, but it's not universal. All right. And then looking nice high cycling. I've been working with one of my athletes now, Tyler Malinowski from Peninsula High School, trying to
Mhm.
get him to pick his feet up when he runs. He's a tall sprinter. He's 6'4", and he does sprinting also. I'm like, dude, you gotta cycle your feet.
Right.
Okay, and pick your knees up. All right, nice. Look at this heel toe. This is Elias, my coach from Long Beach City that coached Brian Stanton to the '88 games in Seoul. he was always heel toe, lean back, and
Yeah.
control the roll. Look at that lean back angle. Wow, Marcus, that's amazing. I don't remember you being that far back there.
No.
That's tremendous. Yeah, so that there, I would like to go to a clinic on how you get that leg straight, right? And then lining straight back up your body like that. So I call that the lean back angle because from this angle you can't really see if you're leaning to your left or your right, right? You can see
Right.
the lean back almost as if you're a long jumper or something, right? Or if you're just going to jump up and touch the top of the backboard. But we both know you got to rotate around and then we're not going to land on our feet, land on our head.
Right.
So all right, so there's the conversion to vertical. Looks pretty good. How close are you to the bar these days? Is that it's hard to tell
Um,
from the angle.
yeah, last season I was pretty far out from the bar. I was almost 6 feet out.
Yeah,
Norm on this one, I it was my third attempt, so I kind of ran and muscled it through. It was my third attempt at 214, so I kind of muscled it through. But
yeah,
it's there's still a lot of good and bad takeaways from there.
right. Well, your hip height's good. You got your knee way up over. So my I've been going under, I don't know if things go in cycles or whatever, but I preach that knee drive up and across. Like when I break down video from that straight down the bar angle, which maybe we'll
Mhm.
see one if you have one here, but this angle it's hard to tell if your knee's coming across. You can see
Right.
right here that it definitely comes up and
Mhm.
it's as high as your hip, which is really, if you can get it higher than your hip fast, fine. To me, if you can get it up there, the big thing is almost as across as it is up. If you watch Stefan Holm, it almost
It
doesn't look like he's driving it up. It looks like he's driving it across, and then he's jumping 7-Eleven. So you're like, okay, which one's more important? But I think they both go in there, because we're dealing with more than one dimension. Look
Yeah,
at
and
that.
I've definitely noticed on my jumps, like watching my own film as well. I think I have a video that I sent, one of them from when I took third place at indoor conference.
Hmm.
And I've noticed in the videos where my knee is across, I'm getting way like
Yeah.
I'm feeling that pause in the air before I'm going over the bar. And
It
so
buys you time, right? I think it
yeah,
I think it slows down both how quickly you get to the bar, obviously, because you're swinging across, but it also helps go up, the
right.
two together. Um, this is interesting too. I'm looking at you here. I don't know if you've seen any of the podcasts. I had Fabian Delrid on over a couple of years ago from Sweden. Have you ever seen that dude? He's like 6'9". Follow him on Instagram. If you look at the stuff he does, he's a beast. He gets in the weight room. You're looking at this guy, you're like, he's amazing, right? So when he was a young kid, he was a single armor and then he switched to the double. And I've got a video that looks almost exactly like this out of him. Now you're only what, 6'1" or 2"?
I'm 6'3", yeah,
You're
6'3".
6'3". Okay, well, and then he's 6'9". When you watch him on film, like there's heights that I thought he was jumping on. I go, that's not that high. He goes, no, that's 7'7" 3/4" because it's
Oh,
over his head, but he's 6'9", so it's hard to see, right? And he's got a good lean back angle like you do here. Are you scraping that foot? I can't tell.
not usually, no.
It's
There's a
close.
few times where I really try to muscle through,
Yeah,
but I'm usually like 2 millimeters off the ground. I
yeah,
don't usually
yeah.
split my foot.
That's another thing. I have a hard time with this. Both my former coach Alan Hankel, who worked with Doug Nordquist to get him to jump 236. They both preach cycling, all the way
Mhm.
through, and especially the takeoff, that one. And it's hard because I understand the reasoning for it, and I think it works for many, many people. And then, the guy from Texas Tech, I forget his name right now, but I watched him jump 7.5 at Mount Sac a couple years ago, and he scraped his foot. He was jumping against Seals or whatever the guy's name is,
Years.
SC, right? The SC kid jumped 7.6, and he was a high cycler. Like when he came off the ground, there was no foot scrape at all. That
Right.
foot, you could see it. It's like Barshim. His foot is kicking him in the butt right before it comes up and across. So, the contention is that you make that leg really short when you cycle it, and it's going to come up even faster, right?
Mhm.
Ivanyuk is another one. He drives that knee up and across, but then he doesn't hold his knee drive at all. He just ditches it right away. So
Right.
that's the beautiful thing about the high jump, right? There's 100 different ways to get it
Mhm.
done. I love this right here too. I'm going to film this if you don't mind. I'm going to make
Yeah.
you one of my poster childs, but the reach back here with both arms back. My
Mhm.
contention is if you're going to jump with both arms for sure, then they got to be behind you. You see a lot of people where one arm creeps on them.
Yeah.
Especially people that do the whip back. If they
Mhm.
whip that arm back, and then it starts coming up, it's going to creep forward. Unless you time it perfectly, you're not going to have both hands working together because
Right.
it's supposed to be in a sprinter, But here you've got a definite gather and jump, right? Not like Javon's. Did you see Javon Harrison's 5-step gather last year? He
No,
would
I
gather right here, right at the top of the curve, right there. He would
yeah.
gather. He'd be like gather, and then it was like this big wind up, like
Yeah.
amazing 5-step carry. I'm like, how can you run when you're carrying your arms for 5 steps together? So here, there's the fast gather, right? So gathering on 3 and boom, both arms back. You can see that other hand back
Mhm.
here. So
Yeah.
those arms are way behind you, and my contention is it's got to help you stay back
Yeah.
because the arms are a big part of your mass, right? So if I move them in front of me, they're going to pull me forward.
And
But
I'm
if behind me, as I stick that leg way out in front, they're going to help you counterbalance even more, right?
yeah.
So that's huge. I love that position there. And then this another thing I would show. It's amazing to me that I know that when you go play basketball, you don't throw
Mhm.
your arms to the side, you throw them straight up. We
Yeah.
would jump every drill, hands as high as you can get them, right? But look
Mhm.
at the force involved with you running the speed of the curve, what it does to those arms.
Yeah.
Pulls them into the pit. I'm like, Mr. Momentum, man. He's sucking everything into the
Every
pit.
time I jump, I never try to get into the pit. I always just try to just go up or
Yeah.
even away from it, but it's inevitable with
That's what I
force.
tell them. I go, it's like there's a big energy black hole in there. It just sucks over everything. But you got to try to get escape velocity and get up there as high as you can. So you can
Right.
see the prep here to do both of those. The arms and the knee drive, bang, right together. Good
Mhm.
synchronicity there. And then a little bit of head back. And this is the other thing I love showing, that position there. The knee up, hands up, but the head's not back yet. And you're
Yeah.
you watch Barshim, I swear it looks to me like he's waiting to where he can see the back of the bar
Yeah.
because he does not throw his head towards the plane of the bar ever. He throws
Okay.
his head down. If there's a horizontal plane of the bar, that's the one where his head starts to go, because you can see his head's going down towards his feet. I
Yeah.
just got through. They had a great jump on a great post on Instagram just the other day. Somebody put up it said Barshim had 14 jumps over 240. Um, and it showed every single one of them on a reel really fast. So I filmed it, I screenshot it and I broke it into pieces. So I have every one. I'm sitting there looking at it and it's like, it's about a 5-year period. He hasn't jumped 240 for a while now, from
Right.
because he's just getting older and everything. But I thought he popped his Achilles. Do you remember in the games?
Yeah, I thought he did too, and he's went there and still brought it the next
That
week.
was amazing because I saw him start to limp and I'm like, oh man, what if he just did the Kevin Durant like he's over here and they're working on him? And I remember thinking, first of all, he doesn't need this jump. That was the thing. I was like, it was at 5, right? So he was clean through 4.5. I'm like, that should make the final.
Right.
And he didn't jump, so he had a miss. He broke the plane. And then
Mhm.
he comes back and they're showing him. I'm like, what is he even jumping for? I couldn't even believe
Right.
it. Like if and then he was back, he booms it. So I don't still haven't heard we don't get the same kind of coverage. If it was a football game, you'd be getting a breakdown on,
Right.
Christian McCaffrey's, Achilles. But since it's Barshim, it's like,
Right.
but
Exactly.
yeah, that's amazing. But this position I love because the knees up, the hands are still up, and the head hasn't gone back. And I've been teaching all the kids, I go, look, it's not universal, but you have 3 moves here. You can pop your hands to your hips, you can reach and touch the one heel and drop the back arm, whatever, but you want to get smaller so you can spin. You can
Yeah.
pop the hip there, or you can I've seen both pop the hip and then drop it. Like Javon Harrison pops both after
Yeah.
some weird, machinations in between. But
Mhm.
popping the lead knee has never been, that difficult for a lot of people. And then the head back is at a different time. And I go, but I've seen people do it all 3 at the same time. I've seen 1, I've seen 2, I've seen 3. I've seen sometimes they look semi-sequential. And it just amazes me that people can do that. Like for me, it was like I would do all 3, like boom, just ball up, kind of like
Right.
you see Barshim do it.
Mhm.
And that, I was done jumping before Barshim was born. So, but I remember when I'm teaching it, I'm just like, finish the jump, finish the takeoff, get through all of that, leave that knee up. Like, I don't know if you watch the men's final, right? I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when Kerr made the last jump, and anytime he needed to make a jump, it seemed to me like he just drove his knee up and just rode it over. Like
Yeah.
nobody's
Took him
going to
over.
watch. Yeah, but nobody's going to watch Kerr and go, "Oh my God, what a beautiful layout!" Right? No, 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 no. He's 6'6" and he runs. You don't think he's running that fast. That's the one thing that Doug told me and Alan both. They're like, "Yeah, he doesn't look like he's running that fast, but he's fast." You know,
Oh
he's
yeah.
6, so his legs are long. It doesn't look like he's cycling them as fast as everybody else, but he's moving. And then, bam, when he drove his knee up, I remember watching it. He just knee stayed bent and he rode it like 4 inches over at 7'7", way up
Yeah.
there. And then you just at that point you just kind of go, pop your hip a little bit or lean back a little bit and you're good. And I'm like, I think, so many people are, trying to, and I get it, you have to maximize your layout at a certain point. But I tell you what, the simplicity of just leaving your knee up until it gets over, like here, your
Yeah.
knee's 4 inches over.
Yeah.
That's a piece of cake. All right, let's get to another video with Marcus. All right.
So it might be harder to break down from the angle, but I sent it just in case.
Right, right. Yeah, it's not my favorite angle, but we take whatever
Yeah.
we can get as
I didn't
coaches.
have many videos from last season, but
Right. Okay. Here we go. There we go. See, that's the same thing. I've noticing this with Kerr. Like, look how the lower leg kind of starts to get away a little bit as you're bringing the knee up. Like, it almost looked on one to me like he was kicking his whole leg up. Like the lower leg was actually getting, his ankle was getting out from below his knee, if that makes any
yeah,
sense.
yeah, it does.
Even a little bit farther, because right there is still kind of in line until about there. But I
Yeah.
like the part right here, and this is why I keep trying to tell you, look, head, shoulders, hips, and knees all up and over. This is where your layout, technically, in my mind, should be starting.
Yeah.
As soon as your head is clear and you're on that side, now you can fire that head down and get into that position.
Right.
So you guys thought about, see, that's right here. This almost looks like you're ready to do the reach for the heel. You know what I mean? And then you pull it back. It's quintessential. I've seen them both. I like the Druin, and look at the knee height there, Marcus. That's monstrous. What height was this at? Do we know?
I believe it was at 214 as well, either 210 or 214.
I mean, that's an easy clearance. And I wouldn't say that, it doesn't look to me like you're one of those guys that's that concerned about layout. You're more
No.
like, I'm going to get my speed and bang that knee up there. And
Right.
fast gather, great reach back. You really see that here. I've been preaching this with my kids too. Like, yours, chin high, right? Classic. I've had some guys, when you show them it, I'm like, look, if you're going to use both arms, I want you to load your arms up. So I'd start teaching them how to gather. So I said, let's walk through it a few times. And even though they walk through it, when they run through it the first time, I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they'll go like this. They'll put their hands up over their head when they gather. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You're never going to have enough time to bring them all the way up, bring them all the way back, and bring them all the way up again. So I'm like, just run and get them under your chin real quick. And then you can reach back. So I call it gather small, reach big. Here you're pretty, it's not a small gather, but it's you're moving, so you can see the effort in getting those arms back. Bang, there's the knee, right? So you can see the eyes. You didn't lose that. Question. This is just curiosity on my point, because again, Alan and Doug were working with me right at the end of my career. It was 92. I'm trying to make the trials, right? And I'm training with them for the first time. I'm 28 at this point. I've been jumping for a long time, like since I was 12. So I had a lot of habits, and I never ever had anybody tell me to not look at the bar before. They both started trying to get me to the far standard and to jump up the far standard instead of, because see how my head is here in the relation to the picture? It looks to me like everybody's on this lean, but you'll see their heads come up. You see the shoulders tilted away and the head up. Yeah. So they're already coming out of it. I think your head is the first thing, and everything's going to try to follow suit. So when I get my kids doing any kind of lean back drill, I'm like, look, see where you are, and I'll film them. I go, now look where your head is. Your eyes, I think, like to stay level. So even though you're running a curve, it's almost like your head says, hey, it would be nice if we could keep this up here. You're like, but if you're driving in an airplane or a car and you're on a bank turn, your whole body's leaning, right? I'm like, you need to lean over here. So I'm curious, what are you looking at when you take off? Because you can see your eyes here, and they're definitely not bailing towards the pit right away. Like you can see.
Right. No, I do have an answer for that. Usually, I try to stay away from looking at the bar, but I'll look at the bar through probably my first 5 to 6 steps. I'll be looking at the bar right before I start my curve.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like judge where it's at, and then honestly, my mind's kind of blank after that. It's just feeling everything. I don't really look for nothing. I just kind of I wait for the feel in the curve, and I noticed I used to have that problem where I'd run the curve and my head would be tilted like how you're talking about, but I don't know if we talked about this in any of our past interviews, but I have a slight hook approach, like inward hook approach. So I kind of, not necessarily a C, but like a few steps in,
Yeah.
kind of that way. And that's helped me stay in the angle without actually turning my head.
Oh, see, and I thought I was gonna be the first one, Marcus. So you know where I stole that idea from? I love what you're saying. If I let me make sure that we're talking about the same thing. What I saw online that convinced me that this was a good thing, because it's like everything else. There's extremes to everything on curves and straights, right?
Yeah.
So if you did you ever go to Junior Olympics or any of those kinds of things?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so you have way more experience than I did. I was always playing football, so we got done with track and I do football, so I never knew anything about it. I'm starting to learn a little bit now just through clients. I still have
Right.
never been to one summer event yet. I've trained kids for them, but they're usually in
Right.
weird places, and oh yeah, we're going up to. Well, I've never heard of it before. Like, yeah, tell me how it goes. If you make it to the next
Exactly.
round, we'll continue training.
Right.
So but you would see these things happen even at CIF. You'd see things happen where a coach finds a jumper, obviously the last week. They go, hey, you've been doing the hurdles all year or whatever. Why don't you come over and try the high jump? And then they come over and they win the high jump at league or something. And so if their coach has been working with them, if they even have a coach, which we both know most people don't have coaches at the high school level. So they
Right.
go, oh, they put them on this little half circle approach, right? You ever seen anybody do that? They give
Yeah.
them a little half circle. And so everybody's laughing at them, going, oh my gosh, it looks like they just started yesterday. But I'm like, there's a little bit of wisdom here because if you're running on a half circle, you're probably not going to be bailing towards the bar.
At all.
You really come out of it early. So it's like you see the wisdom behind it in some ways, but people that know more say, yeah, but you can't run it as fast if you're running a half circle. I'm like, okay, I agree with you there.
Hmm.
So we'll segue from that to what you're talking about, I think, because I was watching Nicole Romani. I'm sure you see her from Italy, and
Right.
she's fast and tall, and she shows a lot of her training, lots of great lifting and flexibility work, and I love her stuff. And they get her, she's in this indoor gym, which looks bigger than it is, I'm sure. So when they show her running, there's this one angle that she sent me on one of her videos, and I'm looking at it going, okay, it looks to me like the standard is about 12 feet off of the wall. Like it's close. And
Yeah.
so if she ran all the way down the wall, like I'd be worried about hitting my elbows because I've seen some of those from Europe and some of the Serbian camps and some of the Russian camps where it's like there's not a whole lot of room in there. And
Right.
so it looks to me like instead of running right down the wall, she did what you're talking about. At the very top of her approach, she moved out. She moved in like 3 steps. And
Yep.
I'm like, the wisdom in that is that as you're running, you're not going to run through your line
Hmm.
because then you're going to wander way outside your turn, right? So if you get to where your 5 step starts on your right foot or whatever, and you're headed too sharp or whatever, you're gonna have to I think it kind of drops you into the curve a step early. Is that what we're talking about the same thing, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, I love that idea. I thought it was me. Okay, so
I can try to send you a video because it started at my junior college where I first started doing that, and then you asked me to do if like because as soon my first year at Kansas State we were like, okay, we're doing straight, it's faster, it's stronger, it makes more sense, and I just struggled and struggled and struggled, and then we went right back. We did like a slight little hook because I used to do kind of a deeper hook. I would do like around 6 steps in at my junior college, and that's when I was jumping 216, 216, 216, 216.
yeah.
But then we started doing a slight little hook, and then that's when I was getting 218. So this one's a little blurry, but this is my 217 jump, and it's
Look
a
at the
short.
knee drive. See the knee drive angle there is really good.
Yeah.
It's coming back across, like you said.
Hmm.
And this is an interesting thing too, but if you watch this, so first off, here's your body lean at takeoff, right? So great heel toe, by the way. I love that.
Thank you.
Heel toe, bam. Great lean back angle. Everything's good. Shoulders tilted to the side. Both arms back. You're just going to come straight up off the ground here. You almost can't help it. Here comes a knee drive. Bang. Okay, so we're straight up and down. We got all this. If you look at this angle here, where your leg strikes the ground, you look like a stick, right? If we erase your arms or legs from your toe up through your torso, your head is a straight line. Now, watch this knee drive angle is going to be very similar. If we could figure out what this is and what that is, it's got to be pretty close to the same angle. It's maybe a little bit more tilted, okay?
Right.
But if you watch it, how your body starts here and then goes up and then goes across,
Yeah.
every individual part of your body does the same thing. So especially that knee drive, you see it goes here and then it goes up and then it goes across. It mimics exactly the same sequencing. I always tell everybody, there's no mysteries to physics. It's like it's a straight line. If somebody were to cut off your lower leg and hand it to you, you'd be surprised at how heavy it is. So it has its own mass, has its own speed. And when it hits like this and it stops and changes direction, it just basically went here, here, and here, just like your whole body does on the whole deal. And you see the arms do it too. This arm looks like it's firing inside out. You can see your closer arm. Then it goes up, there's vertical, then it goes across. Now it goes horizontal. It's like they all here, 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 here. It's all the same thing, each part as it goes through. So amazing. And then, oh yeah, good distance.
Yeah, I was pretty far away.
Yep. And
then no, go ahead.
There's the leg kick out. So that is a la, I don't know if you ever saw Tyler Cash those couple years, because that's back around the same year as Jack Weissman. So Tyler ended up beating Jack at state by jumping 6'10". Jack jumped 6'9", and then the guy
I was on state that year. I remember that.
You remember that? So there was that kick out. You got the Tyler Cash straight leg kick out that leads right into the layout, which is fascinating for me. I watch that all the time, because here I go, what is the purpose of the kick out? Your body's too long. But I think there's a counterbalance there. And then if you notice how when you hook it back towards your head, that leg comes back, and then you're in your layout position. So this is another thing I like to show people, is this, what I call the 9-3, where your head and your feet, what's your body doing when your head and feet are on the same level, right?
Right.
So head and your feet are on the same level. I like to have those hips, as high as they can go, which is, it's really hard. It's hard to be like that, but I try to get them doing it even at the lower heights, so that just to remember that that's the goal,
Right.
Because if you're in the perfect, like, let's see, where do you think your best, as far as your layout position goes, where's the bendiest, best layout? Probably about, there's both feet together right there.
Yeah, probably.
So, that's when I say, hey, look, notice this is best position, and your head and your feet are very close to the same level. When you get the really good rotation where you almost land on your hands and feet like a cat, a la Barshim and Bondarenko and Druin, like 2016, all three of those guys were getting tremendous rotation that night. I was watching that. And amazing, and they literally almost landing hands and feet on the mat. So here you've got that going, and then you stay front side or back side. Is that a little, because your head never goes back into the left, so you're not doing the Dontavius reverse here? No, it doesn't look like it. Hard to tell. Okay, awesome stuff. Awesome. So what's the season goal for this year, now that you've met up with this great coach and he's letting you run your hook like you did before? And
well, he's actually kind of embracing it. I've always been one of the athletes who's like, whatever the coach is going to tell me, I'm going to listen to. That's what, he knows. So I'm going to listen to him. So we started doing approaches, and I was like we were getting our approaches down and stuff and just kind of working through them. And I was like, hey, coach, like, we talked about, like, I have this little approach, like with the hook. Do you want me to do a little bit of a hook or a straight, or where do you want me to start? Because I'm open to everything. And he cut me off midway through my words. He's like, you're going to do the hook. He's like, I've seen videos of you jumping with the hook, and I've seen videos of you jumping without the hook.
Right.
You stay better angles, and you just jump better. So he kind of embraced the hook. So yeah, I'm super excited. The goals are endless. I don't want to set like a mark barrier for myself. I just want to go out there, compete, win at every competition I go to.
I love it. Yeah. And inside of that, knowing what your qualifiers are along the way isn't bad either, right? So you got a couple. The regional is kind of fuzzy. I remember my senior year, we didn't have regionals, so it was just 222, man. You
Yeah,
jumped to
exactly.
22, you were going to the NC2As. If you didn't, you weren't. That was it.
Right. Yeah.
And that was my only year. I did it once, so it was exclusive. But there were, when I got there, this is back in '86. There were 22, 23 guys that made it. So
Wow.
it was I don't know how that size group would compare to other years. It
Mhm.
seemed pretty deep. Tech,
It's competitive too. Yeah.
James Lott was there from Texas. He had jumped 7'7". He was a two-time champ already. He was a free safety on their football team. And then Hollis Conway was in that field.
Mhm.
And then who's the kid from Georgia that jumped 7'6"? Dilthel Edwards, who had
Mhm.
jumped 7'6" in high school, I think. He was there. It was a pretty good field. I remember looking at it later, so I was happy to make the final, and come back 2 days later and come in ninth. So I was like, it wasn't bad showing, but it was in the rain and everything. So 6'11" got ninth place. But yeah, it's different. But
Videos blurry though. Yeah.
what was that?
I said this video right here is awfully blurry, but this was my 218 one.
Ooh,
And this one actually I was the first meet of the season in December. Jumped
right.
218 and I was clean all the way through. And then I missed 3 times at 22 or 23, I think.
Oh yeah, this is Tyler Cash inspired here, dude. That's that full leg kick out. Because right here you can see from your head to your toe, it's all the way out in front of you, right? That's why I
Right.
was noticing from that other angle. Remember I said it looks like your lower legs are getting away from you?
Yeah. And
There it
I've
is.
been trying to, I've honestly, like, I've noticed how on a lot of my jumps I do that naturally, but that's one of the things I'm kind of trying to get rid of
Hmm.
or work my way out of. Cause I feel like it cuts off a lot of my height. Cause like the video we saw earlier, like sometimes I'll jump and I'll raise my knee all the way above the bar and let the rest do the work. And
Yes.
that's when I feel great. But when
Yeah.
I have ones where I kick out, I feel like I'm cutting my height off.
I think it's what would you call it? Almost style over substance. If it's as far as a layout goes, it might be prettier. Like I've been telling people lately, and I found a video, I should throw it on here, of I was digging through Brandon Stark's stuff because I love Stark's training and a lot of what he does, and even as a single armor, I go, a lot of his stuff works for double armors, so I show these kids this. I said, look, when you're running, you have to pick your knees up. I'm telling them, I go, you guys all run. You run okay. You got a little bounce to you now, but I'm like, when we do these drills, I want you to understand that the higher all your parts are before you get to the bar, the easier it is to get off the ground. If I could give you hollow bones and take 20 pounds off you, I would do that too and let you keep your same strength because it's strength to weight ratio.
Right.
Everybody wants more power. And I go, power is force that you can put on the ground times velocity. So you got to
Yeah.
move fast, you got to have force. And to me, obviously, if you put two stick figures side by side, generating, you do all the comparisons, who's got the advantage? 9 times out of 10, it's the taller guy. So
Right.
I'm like, if the taller guy has the advantage, what do you have a disadvantage? And the kid goes, well, I'm pretty short. I'm like, exactly. So what are we going to do? You know, you
Yeah.
need to
You
run
make
taller.
yourself
You
shorter.
need to
Yeah.
start picking your stuff up. You're going to have to go faster, to compete with these guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of Jordan Randall's stuff, the kid from Indiana. He's a
Oh,
sophomore now in high school. His dad is James Randall, and he sent me his videos when he was, I think he's in the fall of his freshman year. He's already jumping like 6'6" or something. He ends up jumping 6'8" or 6'9" as a freshman.
mm,
Does real well both indoor and out there. And then this his sophomore year, he won the state indoor, and I think he jumped 7 1/4
mm,
indoor. I was doing video analysis for him, and we're talking through technique points. I'm like, hey, the only thing you got to remember with him is I go, he's only 5'8". So I go, as the bar goes up, you got to get him out and get him
yeah.
to run faster. And the thing that I keep wanting to work on this year still is he's got one of those little flutter turnovers. Like he's so quick that he almost goes fast without the cycling. You know what I mean? And
Right.
then whenever you're not cycling, your stride length shortens. So
Yeah.
that's another aspect of that. So yeah, I think that's wise on your part, Marcus, to you know, get up and over. So the thing I was bringing up at start, let me finish the thought. He's got one video where, I've seen tons of his stuff with the single arm and, he waits and then he lays out. He's beautiful.
Right.
Almost on his hand and feet like he got on and on and on. Well, they showed one jump, but the bar was obviously at like 6'4" or something.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's the lowest I've ever seen him do something, right? And he fast curve, bangs the knee across, does everything that he always does, but then he didn't do anything. He just left the knee up and across and went sailing up and over in this nice, beautiful high arc, and he still rotated and landed on his back,
Hmm.
like high up on his neck. And I'm like, look, there's no layout. I go, I'm telling people, I'm like, you can jump really, really high in what I call the spinning chair, where you
Hmm.
just that position we were talking about, hands up, knee up, and just ride that up. I said, and when in doubt, how are you going to get over that next height? Let's say this year you get to 226, you match your teammate, you jump 226, and then they go, okay, Marcus, what are we going to next? And you go, I don't know, let's go to 230, or 227 or whatever. Say 228, doesn't matter. How are you going to get over the next height? My question is, for someone who just maxed out their layout, right? They went up and they just, man, that leg shoots out Tyler Cash style, and you hooked that head back hard and you held it as long as possible and you pulled and the bar's doing one of these and you're like, yeah. And then my question is, well, how are you going to make the next one?
Yeah.
What is going to change? Are you going to milk any more out of that layout? It's like you
I
just
can't. Yeah.
right? You just maxed out your layout. So how are we going to get over this thing? Well, you're going to have to run faster. You're going to have to, ride it farther, let that knee do its work and get you all the way up and over. And at the right time, go for that thing and hold it, So here's a quick shot of Jordan. I just had it sitting there. So his dad sent me this. We actually did where is this? Yeah. Oh, look at that position there. Man, it's going so fast. Is this me? We were talking. Man, when he hits that vertical, oh, there's the Stephen Holm. Okay, why is this going so fast? At full speed. Oh, this is me talking to him. Sorry, it's not the video itself. It's the whole thing. Huh. Hold on. That's the analysis. Okay, let's try this one. Yeah, I gotta put this guy on your radar. I'm hoping, guy, he's out there in Illinois in high school still. He's got 2 years. They got
Yeah.
people coming at him from all over.
Oh, I've seen this video. Yeah, this kid's talented.
Yeah, look at the hands. Knee drive up. He hits vertical. The big
Yeah.
thing I had to tell him was get him farther out. That was one of the first things we talked about. I'm like, he's going to
Yeah.
need time, especially as short as he is, to ride that knee up. And then look how he waits, until he
Yeah.
can see. And then bam. He's flexible. He's fast, but and see, there's that heel toe, heel toe. Both
Hmm.
you guys are power jumpers. So there's big heel toe, heel toe. So the big problem with that, getting back to one of the reasons why I was going to bring that up with you before with cycling,
Hmm.
is the heel toe, heel toe. I mean, technically, what are you doing when you're hitting heel toe? It's very easy to be dropping speed.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. You have to go heel toe while
Hmm.
maintaining your cycling as you're going into it, and accelerating. That's the hardest part of that, even though it's something that I've been preaching because I'm like, Elias is my little Yoda. I hear him talk in my head. When I'm coaching now and when I was jumping at the time, I'd be like, okay, wait. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like little Yoda now because that was just what he preached all the time. All right.
Right. And a thing that I don't know if it'll help your coaching or if you want to analyze on it, but my last coach, Coach Revelto, he would teach us kind of when it came to the heel toe and all that,
Mhm.
constantly from the first step you take in your curve until your takeoff, you're just grabbing the floor. It's not even
Yeah.
like he doesn't even really necessarily want you heel toe. He just wants you boom,
Yeah.
boom,
Yeah.
boom, and then so I don't know. It's a hard concept to understand. It took me a while, but yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of gets you to the point where you're naturally on the heel toe to just rise up,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough because, like you said, you got to be able to be moving. If in
Yeah.
one thing I've noticed is when people are hurt
Mm-hmm.
or tired, both, you'll watch them go heel toe all the way through the curve
Yeah.
because it's literally like ow, 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 ow,
Yeah.
and then they jump. And you're like, dude, you got to take some time off, man. It looks
Right.
like you're on razor blades, right? When they're jumping like that, I'm like, okay, you cannot heel toe the whole curve. It's not going to work. It'll work at
Right.
low heights, but when you really got to start carrying the speed, it's going to kill you, right?
Yeah.
So, well, hey, we got to set this up, dude. Get everybody.
Okay.
We'll get everybody in the same room. I'd love to get your coach being the center of the stage and let him talk about, his philosophies and everything, and get the other guys back, because I think I only met, two of
Mhm.
them. I didn't meet the third.
Most likely it was Eli and JJ.
Yeah, yeah, it was Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they were talking about the third guy that I hadn't met yet. They're like, we got another guy here. And I was in the middle of podcast going, what? Yeah, we got
Yeah.
another guy that's made the trials. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. A D2
Yeah, this
with three
last
guys?
year they went 223, 226, and 228.
Yeah, yeah.
Impressive, yeah.
And the Eli was the one who went 228, right?
Yeah, Eli went 228, and then the third guy that they were mentioning, his name was Javon Harrison. He went
Right.
226, and then
AJ,
223.
is it JJ? Is it Rankins? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I apologize to those guys that I've talked to before, because my face memory. I tell you, I worry about Alzheimer's all the time, because I'm like, yeah, that. But I coach 200. I have 200 students
Yeah.
every week. I'm still doing PE, and then I've got my clients, and then so it's like I just go, you know what? If I could remember that many names, I'd be somebody else. so
Yeah.
so with the last little thing before we cut you loose, I appreciate your time, and I know you're later on in the day there. Um, First of all, do they have football at Grand Valley State?
Yeah, they do. We're the number 2 team in all of D2 right now for football. Should be number 1, but yeah, number
Awesome,
right now undefeated so far. So yeah, the
awesome.
team's good.
Good to go from a Big 12, because I know they love their football there too. And
Oh
then
yeah.
even the D2 level, like out here, coaching at Vanguard University, they don't have a football team. The campus is this tiny little postage stamp, so they don't have a stadium. If they were going to play, they have to play somewhere else. But that's cool that you have the football fans go there. Then do you guys have your own stadium there? You have a big place for big meets, all that
Yeah,
stuff?
we have a huge indoor and a huge outdoor. Like it's top of the line. I would say all the amenities and stuff that we have here
Yeah.
are a lot of the same stuff we had at Kansas State. Just Kansas State would have 8 and we'd have 2 here.
Yeah.
So we have all the stuff we need.
Now, I know Kansas can get cold, right? Because in the winter there's snow on the ground for sure, right? So Michigan's gonna be even colder, correct?
Yeah. So
How are you surviving? Are you glad you were a Northern California boy, or how's that working?
So I mean, I have a whole lot of jackets right here, if you can see.
Right.
I'm getting ready for what's coming for me, but I still don't think I'll be prepared as I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, you got at least you get to train indoors. You don't have to go outside and run in the snow.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly.
awesome. Well, hey, Marcus, as usual, man, I love catching up with you. We got to keep you coming back. Get you the guest host role next time, and we'll get everybody in the same room at the same time, talking technique and performance and all that. Because your coach has to be one of the best in the nation to get 3 guys, D2. It doesn't really matter what level, but
Yeah.
3 guys at all, into the trials at the same time is amazing. And then I love the fact that you got yourself in there with them. That's a great career move. How many years do you have left? You said you're going to do this.
Yeah. So I got indoor this year and then indoor outdoor next year, and then that'll be it for NCAA. And the coach Steve here, he wants all of us to continue competing after college. He wants it to be a thing.
Yeah.
And
2028.
Yeah. He wants
Yeah,
it to be
those guys, you making it there, and then those guys going for the second time. I mean, there's got to be an advantage, to having been through it once. I think you and I would both attest to that. I remember, geez, my sophomore year in high school, they kept me fresh off the whole year, which I still couldn't figure out. I jumped 6'2" a bunch of times, almost jumped 6'4", and there was one guy in varsity that was really good that I chased the whole next year when he was a senior and I was a junior, but they didn't have anybody else on that team. So I never really got to any really big meets.
Mhm.
And then, my junior year, I went to CIF finals. I jumped 6'8" the day before Mount Sac, and our coaches called and they got me in. So I went and jumped at Mount Sac, and that was when Mike Powell was jumping, and a guy named Anthony Kerr, who went to
Mike
USC.
Powell, he jumped at Cal, right?
He jumped at UC Irvine, and then he jumped with me at UCLA his senior year. So he was at Irvine, and then but he would just come high jump because he could always jump. Like
Right.
he was an all CIF basketball player, right? Just world-class athlete from the moment, I tell the story because I'm sitting there at Mount Sac and I'm just walking around, or I'm sorry, at Arcadia, and I'm just walking around like this. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I jumped 6'8" to get in. And the opening height 6'4". I'm like, you've never opened a 6'4" before. I'm like, I don't care. I don't even care. I'm like walking around like a little kid with my autograph book, like, hey, are you Mike Powell? Hey, you're Anthony Kerr, and these guys, Kerr went to SC and jumped 7'4.5,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what Mike's PR is. I'm sure he's jumped at least 7'1", but
Yeah.
I'm sure he had to have jumped higher at least once. But he's he walks up and he goes, hey, is that your mark right there? And I'm like, what, me? I'm like, no, yeah, yeah. And he goes, okay. And he like he takes off from my mark, skitters the steps a couple times and jumps over 6'6" or 6'8" or something in warm up, and then goes, okay, I'll see you. And he goes running off to go do the long jump, and I'm just like, what a trip. So I
Yeah.
get that exposure to Arcadia my junior year, and then I get CIF prelims and finals, and I got boat raced at CIF final. I mean, I was just not ready for prime time, so that 1 year was just that transition year. I come back my senior year, 6'10 3/4", CIF champ, go to Masters, win Masters, go to state. It's like boom, boom, boom. Having been there, that one time, the first time you went to your conference, I'm sure in the Big 12, right? It's like you come back the next time, you're like, oh man, I'm right in the thick of this to win it. Like you said, you come in
Right.
a couple more jumps, who knows? So, and now you just have built-in competition every step of the way. It can't be any better.
Right. Yeah. Every single meet at this school is it's gonna be prime time. There's gonna be 220. Like I think in our conference for D2 last year, if you didn't jump 223, you didn't make the podium.
Really?
Which, yeah,
Wow.
with just
That's
unheard
amazing.
of.
Yeah, well, especially with those three to get through. And then,
Yeah.
what do you guys tell me this? Because I mean, me, I'm a junkie. I will stay up until all hours of the night watching you guys. Are you guys up? Do you have on? Did they get their meets on TV? Because like I saw some of the highlights they gave me last year. It looked like it was on. They had televised meets.
Yeah, so we have a lot of home meets, and they'll have, I wouldn't necessarily say TV, but they definitely have recording and stuff that's kind of more of an on-demand type of thing.
Hmm.
But I mean, they try to go to all the big meets that they can. This coach wants all four of us to make world champs this year. Like he's like, we're
Right.
getting points, we're going to the meets that matter. Like it's
Yeah.
important. He really believes in every athlete. So yeah, I mean,
I
though
love it.
there's going to be a lot more on TV.
Well, stay in touch with me and give me any details you can there on what the state of the union is as far as like literally seeing you guys live or getting whatever videos because I would use that your stuff like that what I showed you in that one video. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna stick this right on my my iPad because I'll be there in practice sometimes. I go, look, you need to make it look like this. And I'm like, okay, wait, I don't have anybody that good to show that. It's like
Right.
I need to, that's why I started building up my library. I went back through the 2021 games and just started picking out all these jumps. I'm like, if I did find an angle that I liked and I could find something that was a solid technique to show, I just have now I got a growing folder of, easily attainable. Here's what
Right.
look at and do it like. So
Right.
be an honor to have you guys be in all the demonstrators because you guys do such high quality stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll definitely have a word with the guys. I'm sure they would love to do this. They love all this type of stuff. So, and
Awesome.
you're gonna learn really quick that this group of jumpers here are the most confident, and
Oh yeah.
they back it up. So
Yeah, I remember talking with those two guys last time. I was like, yeah, and the only bummer was we didn't get the other jumper and your coach in there. So
yeah,
we'll take care of that this time. You're in charge of setting it up, and
I
I'll stay
got
in
you.
the
We'll
loop.
make it happen.
All right. Hey Marcus, always a pleasure, man.
Definitely.
God
Same here. Thank you very
God bless
much.
you, man. Stay warm.
God
Stay
bless
warm.
you. Thank you.
All right, bud. Talk
All
soon.
right.
Okay. And there we just finished up with Marcus Gelpi. He's gonna be doing his last year and a half. It sounds like at Grand Valley State, which has got to be one of the great stories that's going on right now in NC2A, whether it's Division One or two. You heard there first, JJ Rankins and Eli Potius, I think, or I can't remember exactly how to say his last name, but both of them made the trials. They had another teammate that made the trials, and I remember doing the part of that video last year. I can't remember why we didn't publish it, but maybe we can go one better this time and get all 4 of them in there with their coach and, talk track and field high jump. So thanks for joining us again here on Raise the Bar. My name's Troy Haynes, former UCLA high jumper and now longtime coach. And just one of my passions is talking high jump, the only thing that I did well, and go through and find people that are doing it even better and trying to help me coach others to do it better, and just enjoying, watching, training, learning all the time. So until next time, here on Raise the Bar, Troy Haynes signing off. Have a good one.